If you've been told that neuropathy starts and ends in your feet, that's not true. If you've been told that it is just a natural part of aging, also not true. And if you've been told that the best you can do is to just live with it, manage it, that is probably the biggest lie of all. Burning, tingling, numbness, pins and needles, all a part of, yes, said diagnosis of neuropathy. But that doesn't just mean that the nerves are broken. And actually, I shouldn't say just, it doesn't mean the nerves are broken. It actually means that those nerves are struggling to communicate. And in this workshop, we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of what I mean and why that is. So, neuropathy doesn't start in the feet or the hands. It always, 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 always starts upstream in how the brain, the spinal cord, the nerves are regulating and then supplying the body. The word neuropathy, you break it down and it actually means nerve dysfunction. It doesn't mean nerve death. So, not this just happens with age or whatever. It means the nerve is not receiving what it needs to fire, to heal, to communicate, and adapt. Nerves actually have needs. We probably don't think about that in our regular day to day, but it's true. So, nerves need oxygen, they need blood flow, they need proper mechanical input, they need calm and regulated signaling from the brain and nervous system. So, when any of those pieces are compromised for long enough, the nerve changes its behavior. It becomes loud or quiet. It could become hypersensitive or completely shut down and numb. It could become chaotic or completely repressed. That is neuropathy. And so here is why traditional medication misses the point, okay? Um, Most conventional approaches, they aim just to fix the burning, the numbness, the tingling, the signal. Think about like common meds on the market for something like this are gabapentin, Lyrica, pain meds, topicals. Those actually don't fix the nerves. What they do is they turn the volume down on a system that's already struggling to communicate. So, yes, those symptoms may dull. Medication is great at that. But the underlying neurological stress remains. That's a fact. That is why neuropathy often progresses. It spreads, it returns stronger, or actually never really resolves. Silencing a fire alarm doesn't put out the fire, right? So what you know HTC for is we take a polyvagal approach. We take a nervous system safety approach. Your nervous system's primary job is to keep you safe, help you survive. When a system is regulated, when a body is regulated, the nerves repair, they adapt, they fire properly, they heal. When the system is dysregulated, the nerves shift into protection mode. And that is when we see the reduced blood flow to extremities, aka hands and feet. We are going to see altered sensory input. We're going to have a compromised healing capacity. There's going to be fluctuations, maybe increases with inflammation. We're going to see loss of precision. Neuropathy is not just a nerve issue, though. It is actually big picture. It's an issue of state. It is a state issue. A nervous system that is stuck in chronic stress, compensation, or even shutdown, it cannot heal nerves properly. This is just biology 101. This is physiology 101. So you might not say that you have chronic stress. Heck, you might not even say that you have day-to-day stress. You might be a pretty mellow kitten on the outside, guys. But stress doesn't always feel like panic. Sometimes it might look like long-term overuse. It maybe is old injuries. Maybe it's postural collapse. It might be disc degeneration, repetitive strain, unresolved trauma, either of the physical kind or emotional kind. Over time, that all layers on, right? Each of us has got many different components, all of those components in different capacities. So over time, that stress actually alters your spinal mechanics and bigger picture, how your brain and your body communicate. And when the spine is under constant tension and distortion, the nerves that exit the spine are affected. Slowly, quietly, until symptoms can't be ignored. And then we are bothered and wondering why they're there, right? So I want to talk a little bit about why feet are often the first to show it, because there's no denying that that is typically when someone thinks of neuropathy, that's what comes to mind. So nerves are highways, guys. We travel both directions, to and from the brain, to and from the body. The longest ones travel from your brain down your spinal cord all the way to your feet. So when communication breaks down, the farthest region is going to feel it first. That is why neuropathy often shows up as foot numbness, as burning soles, tingling in the toes, loss of balance, pain at night. It's not because your feet are the problem, it's because they are the last thing in line. When we are talking about the other pieces, yes, there is pain, but balance, gait, coordination, and why this matters more than pain. So neuropathy, obviously, not just uncomfortable. It changes how you move through the world, which correlates to how you practice sports with your kids, to how you get on the floor with your grandkids, to how you navigate the grocery aisles at Hornbachers, or if you're a Cash Rice fan, whatever, no beef. But lack of sensation is going to affect your balance, coordination, your risk for additional injury, your confidence, your independence. Your brain relies on feedback from your feet to know where you are in space. It actually relies on feedback from every single area of your body. But when that feedback is distorted, the brain is going to compensate. And that compensation always costs energy, which means there is a trickle downstream effect. Everything that our body does requires energy. So if we are losing energy just to compensate for a lack of balance and coordination and proprioception, that's going to affect your focus. That's going to affect your connection with your people. That's going to affect how fulfilled you feel with the hobbies that you've done for forever and have always been your thing. All of it. That is often also why neuropathy is accompanied by fatigue, brain fog, unsteady, uncertain movements. It ultimately comes down to a lack of trust in the body. Chiropractic does not treat neuropathy. You've probably caught on. We say all the time, chiropractic only treats static in the nervous system. It helps cut out the white noise. What chiropractic does do is it's going to restore a neurological environment. So, so through very precise and specific adjustments, we are restoring the mechanical stress and load on the spine. This improves brain-body signaling. This restores movement where it's been lost. This improves blood flow and oxygen delivery. And ultimately, it shifts the nervous system out of that survival treading water mode. When the nervous system becomes safer, the nerves regain the ability to repair. This does not happen overnight. It is not magic, but this is biology. It, it takes time, but that's a good sign, right? We've been taught that if it doesn't fix my problem yesterday, probably not what we want to invest in. I highly, highly disagree. So this means improvement often looks like changes in sensation. You might have better circulation, warmth returning to fingers and hands, and toes and feet. You might notice your tingling shifting. You might have better balance, less night pain, improved coordination. These things all might come before you have relief of pain. Every single adjustment is actually restoring the conditions for the nerves to remember what and how to do, what they need to do, how to act, how to be nerves. So if you've been told this is just a part of aging, or maybe even if you believe that this is just how it looks, that there's nothing else that you can do, that you'll just have to manage it. My labs are fine, so I'm fine. Then this message truly is for you. Neuropathy does not have to be a life sentence. I have seen it here in our office. We have people that will speak on how their lives have changed by, like one gal comes to mind that had to totally rearrange her house when things got to a certain point because she could not, her walk and her gait was so compromised that she had to rearrange her furniture. She lives by herself. Um, had to rearrange furniture so as to strategically have objects in place to assist her to get to the bathroom, to get to the kitchen, living by herself. And it doesn't have to be like that. Neuropathy can just be a signal that our body shows us. And signals can change when the system changes. So the question is not how bad is your neuropathy, telling us like how severe and messed up things are. The real question is actually how long has your nervous system been under stress without the proper support? How long has your tea kettle been boiling without you letting out a little steam pressure, right? When we start to address that, everything else begins to shift, guys. So if you or someone you love is dealing with neuropathy, numbness, burning, compromise with their balance, do not wait for it to get louder. The earlier we can help restore nervous system regulation, the more adaptable our nerves become. That's exactly why we say every man, every woman, every child, every baby needs to be checked by a chiropractor. Adaptable and resilient for life. That is the only place where real healing actually starts and builds layer upon layer upon layer.